We can see it's rainy and muddy here. The Wolverine 350 is cold. I gotta go get the utility trailer so I don't have to make a bunch of ruts with my truck, and it's difficult anyway. So I can go pick up my new side-by-side. So that's the only reason why I'm selling the old Big Bear. Don't really want to sell it. Turn the gas on. It's dead cold. Choke, full choke. Ignition switch here. Switch here. I'll let it run with the choke on. And then half choke it. Yeah. Half choke. Okay. Should be taking gas now. So I'll start it with the choke, half choke. Full choke here. There we go. I wasn't at half choke, I thought I was. So I'll let it run at half choke for a minute until the cylinder gets a little warm. It's probably about 35-40 degrees. You know, if it's above 50 degrees, you don't need to choke it long, or if it's like summer temperatures, you don't need to really choke it at all, maybe for a split second. So I'm just going to let this run until the idle raises up. When the idle raises up, I'll turn the choke off and go. Now if I had to drive now, you just give it gas. You can tell if it takes the gas. I'm not going to do it because it would turn the choke off, but if it takes some gas, just give it gas and then put it in gear and go. But I prefer, just to make things easier, make it nicer on the machine, to warm it up a little before I do that. Here's the hitch I made. There's a spot for a kingpin. I got a hook for ropes or chains, and I got a 2-inch ball. All the brakes work. Just went over the brakes a couple years ago. It's got a sealed glass mat battery I put in, I think, last year. It started up even in the dead of winter, no problem. The winch works. I've had this for, I think, 3 years. I straightened out the front bumper and racks best I could. He's like, the owner before me said that he had his grandkid or something and accidentally pulled the rack down with a winch. They're still a little, they're not perfect, but they're not too bad. I put feed bags on there all the time. You know, I might have 300 pounds in the front. Realistically, probably say 2 bags, so that'd be 100 pounds in the back, 2 bags on the front, but there's been times where I've had more or less. 4-wheel drive, full-time 4-wheel drive works great. The CV shafts do make a little bit of noise. They've done that since I've had it. I've been meaning to change them out, but it hasn't caused a problem yet. It's got, of course, it's got the crimp on boots, so they might, if you want to be real cheap, you probably just get the boots and probably re-grease them, but for the price of new shafts, so if you're going to do all that work, just throw new shafts on it. I have one of these in better shape I was going to put on it. I never did. The gas valve, sometimes it'll have when it's turned on, it'll seep a little. That's a cheap seal. I just haven't got around to doing that. The tires are good. They have plenty of traction. You know, the 5-speed high and low range. If your idle's a little high, it'll be stiff to shift, but as soon as you, if you have your idle adjusted right, it's fine. I fixed the exhaust a little bit, or did some work to it, I should say. It's better than what it was when I got it. It currently has a full exhaust. It doesn't really have any leaks that I know of. I was going to get a FMF or something. I had the seat recovered for cheap by the Amish. The plastic was damaged, so they had to cut this back. I didn't know they were going to cut back so much of it. But it is actually comfortable. You can't even tell it's like that. So visually it's really annoying to look at, but all the lights work. I put a new carburetor and boot on it last year. But this boot, you can't really see, but it's actually starting to crack again. So they make a metal boot for basically the same price, like $10 or $15. So just put a metal boot on it. So you know when that boot's bad when it won't hold an idle because it's leaking air. Here's the lights. I got LED bulbs. Makes a huge difference in these old machines. LED bulbs. You can see plenty at night. Tail light works. Alright, I'm going to turn the choke off. I'm just going to go low range because this doesn't have full mud flaps. So if you come out of first gear in low range and it's muddy out, you're going to get mud on you, unfortunately. That's one thing I never got around to doing either, is putting the full mud flaps on it. So I'm going to turn the choke off and go. So you hear it's taking gas fine, so you know it's warmed up enough to operate. 5-speed with low range. This has enough power to literally pull anything. So you're limited by however much traction you get. High range, if you go through all 5 gears, top speed's probably like 10 or 15. In high range, the top speed is between 35 and 40. This is not a go down the road super fast machine. It's more like a workhorse. You can cruise down the road without blowing it up at like probably about 25 to 30 miles an hour. So I'm going to throw this trailer on real quick to go get the side-by-side, so that's going to take me a second here. The rear spring is in good shape. I got it maxed out on the adjustment, but the rebound damper sometimes a little overbearing, so sometimes I got to pick up the back. For normal operation, it doesn't affect anything, but for putting a trailer on, it gets you a little extra room. We'll see. sell this, but the side-by-side will be a little more capable, a little more comfortable, especially in like current weather as you see right now. Winter weather. So I'll miss it. So this trailer is like 500 pounds. I mean, it pulls it through the mud without even trying, really. Not spinning a tire. I'm just going normal speed. The only time it would spin if you hit a rut or a deep bog, or if you're going up an incline, it might spin a little. So you can see the tracks we just went through. As you can tell, this thing idles pretty good. I mean, depending on the temperature, you might need to adjust the idle a little bit. But I try to keep it as low as possible just because it is an old machine and it shifts a lot easier. It shifts pretty good if you got the idle set right, but if you have it too high, it'll shift a little clunky and it just doesn't feel very good. But like I said, if the idle's set right, it shifts not like a speed demon, but it'll give you no trouble. It won't feel it'll feel like perfectly normal, basically. So I'll show you. It's in neutral now. I'll just kind of pop it in with one finger. See? So that's how it shifts if you have your idle perfect on this. And I basically have it set now. It's fine. I personally wouldn't adjust it too much for the temperature because this seems to work fine. Once it gets warmed up, it'll idle pretty much forever. You know, you might get your odd misfire, you know, where whatever, little water in the gas and it stalls it, and no big deal. You just come back and start it up and it's idling again. So I guess that's pretty much it. I'm gonna take the trailer off and you'll get side by side, and then this is going to be posted for sale.